All right, so what you've got on your screen there is the quality management manual builder. Okay, so this is a little Excel spreadsheet that we've put together that is going to assist you to build your quality management manual, which is then supported by a range of documents, etc. Now, this is the beta version, so if you see some hiccups and stuff in it, we're addressing those progressively, and it'll be fully compliant and ready by the 6th of May. Now, where you start with this thing is in the admin tab. That's the tab on your screen there at the moment. So up here, basically you're completing all your own details. That's the data collection point. So it's details about your business, your BAS agent, the services you offer, etc., etc.
This is profiling your business.
Profiling your business, yep. Now, some of these things are drop-down menus. So at the moment, I've just sort of populated what would be typical BAS agent style services. If there's something that you want to add to your typical library, then you can go in here, just drop it into this library that I've just brought up there. Now, if you were to put it into there and then go back to your admin builder, you would find it then nice and neatly dropped into the drop-down menu. So they're your standard services. If you want to customize a service that you might do periodically, then just drop it into there in that custom service field, and I'll show you where all this information goes shortly. The other thing I guess I wanted to briefly show you was this supporting documents list. Now, this is going to be progressively built out as well, and I'll show you where this and how this implements into your quality management system. But again, if you've got certain documents or checklists or things that you use in your business, you'll be able to drop them into here. We'll populate them with a lot of information. There'll be different parts of it. There'll be, if you're an ABN member, you already have access to an enormous amount of tools and templates and checklists in your ABN Member Centre. I'll drop those into here with just, available in Member Centre. You'll be able to access them from there. If you're not an ABN member, you'll also be getting a range of tools and checklists that support this, but not the full Monty. And you can also help then build, your own out by any of the systems that you might use in your own checklist, your own management services, etc.
So these supporting docs, they're the things that we already use day to day in our business that guarantee quality. They're the things that we do, the checklist, the process we follow to get a quality outcome.
Yep. So it could be a thing like a new client checklist, it could be a thing like an engagement letter, anything that sort of supports the quality of the work that you do. And I'll show you where all this fits into the whole piece in a minute.
I am keen.
You're keen. All right. So the next part that you go through is then this standard text library. Now, at the absolute heart of any system of quality management is risk. Okay. Now, that's not my myth. That's a fact coming straight out of APES 320, which is the professional standard that the TPB have premised all this on. So APES 320 basically says at the heart of your quality management system is risk. And that's the underlying premise that we have to deal with.
So if we mitigate risk, we deliver quality.
Exactly. Yep. That's the idea of it. So what's required to be done for QMS is identify your risks that could occur in your business and that hamper the quality of everything you do based on the 7 quality elements that Pete outlined earlier. And we're going to have a little bit of a look at more in that of the detail of those after the demo. So hang around for what's in those 7 quality elements. Now, you have to establish a policy surrounding that potential risk. So that sort of basically considers what controls or procedures you have in place or you can implement that manage the risk or mitigate that risk. So I guess what the ABN builder has embedded in it is this risk library. So we've pre-populated a lot of risks. At the moment, I've just got a sample in there for today's demo, but there'll be an awful lot of risk in there. And again, they're simply using a drop-down methodology. So if you sort of want to pick a particular category, there's the 7 categories in there. If you want to pick a risk description, then you select from the standard library that's going to be in here. And I'll show you how you can do all of that in a sec. It comes with pre-populated fields for quality objective, policy statements, and controls and procedures. Now, the part that's missing is identifying which of all these risks, I've been mucking around with it this morning, so some are in there, but which one of these risks would you actually like to include in your quality management register? Okay, or quality management register, and we'll talk about that. So as you go through this, let's just pick an example as we work through. So let's take this one here. Leadership tolerates non-compliance with internal policies to keep clients. So leadership doesn't enforce their internal policies because they're basically compromising the standards that they want. So you kind of go, well, Yep, that's a risk. There's my policy statement. We really should have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to non-compliant clients. And so you go, yep, that's a risk I want to at least consider. I may not eventuate to it because I might have some great policies already around that, but it's something I want to consider.
And all of those information, the quality objective, policy statement, controls and procedures are pre-populated that you can add to if you need to.
Yep.
But they're pre-populated. You're only making a decision on that risk description. Does it apply to me?
That's right. So all of this here is pre-populated for you. There'll be a whole library of these risks. This part of the process is simply going through and identifying those risks that you would like to consider further.
Yep.
So not every risk. Don't go and click the whole lot. You'll have 250 risks to consider. Don't do that.
They're the ones that apply to your business.
Ones that apply to your business.
Correct.
And you might have ones that you're already considering and go, well, that's not a risk because I'm already doing that well.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just pick a couple so we can do this for a demo. We'll pick this one down here, which revolves around repeat issues not being addressed. I want to pick some out of each area because I want to see what it does. I want you to see what it does. We'll pick this one here, which is failing to understand legislative changes. Let's see, we'll pick that one there, false or misleading statements. That's all whistles and bells at the moment. We'll pick that one.
And we're not actually saying we're doing these things wrong. What we're saying is this is a risk to our business.
This is a risk to our business.
If we don't do it right.
If we don't do it right. And it may be something that at this stage of the process, it's about considering the risk.
Yeah.
Not saying you're doing it badly.
No.
It's just saying these are the risks that could occur in my business and I now want to consider them more because that's the next part of the process.
Okay.
So we're going through all of these risks and we're just identifying, simply double clicking on there. If you make a mistake and you go, no, I don't want to do that one, you just drop it back out again. If you come down here, we just put a couple into each. We're going to there, going to there, going to there, going to there. All right. So once you've actually selected a range of risks that you're happy to now consider further.
Yep.
So of the entire risk library, these are the ones you will kind of go, well, I think I want to have a bit more of a think about this and whether I'm doing it right.
That first column, that is the 7 elements essentially that the TPB requirements to include. So actually they marry up to the 7 elements of QMS risk, don't they?
That's right. These things here called quality objective categories. That's your 7 risks. If you want to kind of have a look at them, I'll cancel that because I won't do that.
Yep.
But yeah, all the quality objectives there are the 7 elements that are incorporated into your quality risk according to the TPB.
Yep.
All right. So once you've actually selected the risks that you want to identify to look further at, as I say, don't select every one. These are the ones you just look at and go, yep, I think I need to consider that further. You've marked yes in your little column over here. Now you're going and creating with this button up here, your quality risk register. It was thinking about it.
Oh,
all right.
It wasn't that hard, computer.
It's identified the 11 risks. It might be because I'm sharing it. So it probably doesn't like to be shared. But anyway, it's identified the 11 risks that are now copied to my QMS risk register. So I go, wonderful, fantastic. Thank you for working on a live demo. Now we go over to this little register here, which is our risk register. So you can see that it's populated those 11 risks that we selected on our little screen. And this is the next phase of your risk identification and processing journey. Now, you might have already in your system a range of supporting documents that you can add to that particular risk element. So again,
things that you're already doing,
things that you're already doing.
Using. Yep. Checklist for this, checklist for that.
So if I look at this one, it's accepting clients without risk. Okay, so I might have a new client checklist. I might have an engagement letter, which might be in there. I'll have an onboarding checklist. So there'll be some pre-populated ones in here. But if you've also got checklists, processes, procedures that you use, then you're allowed to, this is free text as well. So you can get in there and do that sort of stuff. Cool. So for each risk, we're identifying those supporting documents.
Yep.
The important part now is the risk rating. How do we actually rate this risk and do we want to continue with it further?
Yep.
Now we're going to talk about the risk matrix when we get into the details. I'm not going to deal with it heavily here. But really what the risk rating that you're applying to it is based on a concept of the likelihood of it occurring.
Yep.
And if it does occur, what are the consequences? And from that, you can kind of go, well, it might only occur rarely. And when it does occur, it doesn't matter that much. So I give it a really, really low risk rating. So I might go, oh, well, I've got some great procedures around my onboarding of new clients. So the risk rating I'm actually going to give to that is very low. So I'm not going to talk about it at all. So therefore, do I now want to incorporate that into my quality manual at all? The answer for that is no, because I've actually got a really good system around that already. So now if I work through each of these other ones, I won't go and fill out the supporting checklists and stuff. Actually, I'll just drop a couple in there because I want you to see what it populates at the end. I'll just drop some random ones in there. Now, for this one, you kind of go failing to disengage from unethical clients. Now,
that wouldn't happen.
You might not have any processes around that, and if it does occur, or if you have an unethical client, the risk could be enormous to you.
It could be huge.
Yep. So you kind of, okay, I'm going to put that as a really high risk.
Yep.
And if I accidentally go no here,
for what? I want to do something about it.
If I actually go no, I don't want to do anything about it, it's going to prompt you. There's a little warning that pops up and says, "Okay, are you sure? You've just identified as a high risk. Come on, think about it again."
Yep.
So you go, no. So now you go back in here and go, yes, I do want to populate that into my quality management manual. So if we just go through now, because I don't want to waste too much time on this again, we'll just go high. We'll go yes. And we'll populate a few just so you can see. We'll go tolerable. We'll go yes.
You've done this before.
I have. We'll go low and we'll go no. All right, so that'll do us for the moment. So once you've actually got to this point now, you've gone through in this case, 11 risks that we identified as the ones that are of concern. You've now rated them into low through to very high. So now the ones that you've actually said, yep, I still want to manage these risks. And look, there could be ones in there that you still rate as a low risk rating that you might still want to consider.
Yep.
So it's just whatever you do. But whatever you put into this column over here, the risk management column, wherever you select yes to that, that is going to populate your quality management manual. So once you've sort of gone through your risks, you've identified the supporting documents, you've allocated it a risk rating, and you said, yes, this is a risk I genuinely need to manage. We hit this wonderful little button here, and hopefully it does a lot more than what it does last time.
Give it a rip. Let's see how we go.
Now, I just need to bring that over to there. And hopefully you can see that on your screen. So this is your quality management manual now being produced. You've got all of your details up there that's been populated through that admin section on your Excel spreadsheet. If you want to, you can insert a logo. You've got the table of contents about what you've just produced. There's some standard stuff in there, but then it populates from all the other stuff as well. So obviously the quality management system purpose and scope is an important statement. So you're actually saying why you're doing it. Should the TPB actually ever require you to sort of say, can you have a bit of a look at this? It gives you your practice details in there. It also tells you the last time that we actually considered it. So you've actually said, like, the last time I reviewed this was this date. So you can update it, which we'll talk about remediation and continuation of this going forward. All the services that you selected through that service library, you only select the ones that obviously relate to you. You've got additional services if they're not in the standard list. And now we get into the meat of the register, which is your actual risk management part. Each of the 7 elements has the standard verbiage around what it is that particular element is trying to address. And then for all the risks that you've actually selected a yes to, it now drops them in here for you. So there's your quality objective, there's your risk, there's your policy around it, your controls and procedures, any supporting documents you've actually got with it. And it runs through that for each of the 7 elements. I obviously didn't populate any in there, that's why there's nothing in there. Acceptance and continuance, there's quality objectives that you've selected, your risk description, your policy, your controls, your supporting docs. Obviously didn't select any resources. There's your engagement performance stuff. So, mate, there it is.
There's your 7 elements.
There's your 7 elements in a full bespoke, because there will be no 2 of these alike.
No.
Bookkeepers will have different services, they'll have different risks.
Different risk
they'll
levels.
have different risk levels.
Yep.
So a fully compliant TPB manual based on APES 320, saving you hundreds and hundreds of hours of time.
So the issue is really around that population of the kit.
It is, yep.
Identifying the risks, rating them, adding your own resources.
Yep.
But the rest of it is flows from those decisions you've made.
Yep, that's it.
And this is not a confession time either, is it? Like, you might build something there and go, oh, I have some work to do. And that's the point of it.
Yeah, yeah. It's not. It cannot just be an off-the-shelf bespoke. Sit here, check the box, throw them in the bottom drawer, and there you go.
No.
This thing
You can do that, but you're wasting your time.
Yeah, it's got to be about identifying those risks in your business and actually managing them. That's the whole idea of it. That's why the TPB said you would have one.
Oh, I just thought it was a silly idea to annoy us all.
Well, it actually might bring out some good stuff because there are some issues that we do hear about, and you kind of go, oh, that's probably a quality management thing that you need to be considering. So there you go.